You're on.
Meeting called to order, Town of West Warwick, Town Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 5th, 2018. It is now 7 p.m. Town Council Chambers, Town Hall, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island. Please follow me in prayer. Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we are gathered here this evening as your humble servants. We seek to represent the good citizens of West Warwick with honor and integrity. May all of our efforts be blessed with your wisdom. May our personal faith give us the strength to act honestly and accordingly in all manners that come before us. Amen. Angelo, lead us in Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Licciardi?
Here.
Councilman Messier?
Here.
Councilman Padula?
Here.
Council Vice President D'Amico?
Here.
Council President Goslin is absent. There is a quorum. Fiscal year 2018-19 budget for the Regional Wastewater Treatment Facility. Resolved that the attached is adopted as the Regional Wastewater Treatment Facility budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018 and ending June 30th, 2019 in the amount of $8,668,747 for operations, maintenance, and debt service. Be it further resolved, the sewer use charge for the 18-19 budget shall remain at $3.55 per 100 cubic foot of water consumption, with a 4,000 cubic foot minimum for West Warwick and Regional Reserve, Warwick, Cranston, West Greenwich, East Greenwich, and Coventry users. Debt service charges shall remain at $135 per equivalent dwelling unit for advanced wastewater treatment and collection system projects. The balance of the remaining sewer use fee charges shall be set as presented in Exhibit A.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Bernie, did you want to speak to that?
No, I'm fine.
Gonna take a vote.
We've had the two public hearings, so this is just the vote for approval.
Okay. Any comments from the council?
Good job. No increase.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, let's take a roll call vote. Jason?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Passes.
Minutes of the previous meeting. Resolved that the minutes of the May 22nd, 2018 executive session and May 22nd, 2018 town council meeting are hereby accepted.
I'll move the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Let's get the minutes sealed.
Under section 42-46-4 and 42-46-5A2 of Rhode Island General Laws, the Town Council is closing the executive session closed meeting that was held on Tuesday, June 5th, 2018, beginning at 6:30 p.m. that discussed the interest arbitration and wage reopeners for the in RI Council 94, AFSCME, AFL-CIO, West Warwick Town Employees Local 2045 under the prevailing collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consent agendas. Resolved that the consent license applications. Resolved that the consent agenda having been posted, all matters being referred to proper departments and being disposed of or awaiting recommendation, the same is hereby approved.
I'll move the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay. Any public comment?
What are we on, consent?
Yeah. No. Correspondence? No, we're on
License.
Licenses.
application.
I'm gonna recuse myself because there's one on there, it's touchy.
Any other comments from the council?
Well, there's a couple of the businesses on there that I promoted, so should we recuse ourselves separately then, so there's enough for the vote?
Well, Angelo, I think only has one.
One.
That's what I'm saying, if you recuse yourself from that one.
Why don't I make the suggestion as it relates to taking a couple of them out of the packet, out in front of you. So take Mr. Pink's license application first, We vote on that
Pinga.
separately, and then what?
You recusing from that?
For the renewals, I believe it was Reality A Games for the Sunday license, and Matos Bakery, I believe, was also in there for a renewal
So there's three.
of a Sunday license. Those are the two for me, yeah.
Take those three individually, so take Pinga and the bakery out,
Reality A Games, yeah,
Beto's Bakery.
yes. For the,
So why don't you vote on those first,
Okay.
and then you can vote on the rest as a bundle.
Okay, so we're gonna do all at once?
No, you're just gonna do them three.
Pinga,
So
Mr.
do
Pinga's
the-
gonna recuse himself,
Okay.
and then our real games and Marco,
And what is the name of Pingus Bingus, business? Is it
Westcott.
Westcott?
Westcott Bakery.
All right, so let's vote for the renewal of the Westcott Baking Company. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
And
Just note that Councilman Abdul was recusing himself. And then on the
Reality-
matters involving real games.
Reality A Games
Reality A Games,
and Matos Bakery.
Beto's Bakery, Councilman Messi is gonna recuse himself, so you can vote on that one right now.
Okay, all in favor of passing Reality Games and Matos Bakery?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. And then the rest that are bundled, you all can vote on the recusals.
Okay. Any other public comment regarding any of the licenses? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the following licenses have been approved. TMWC Activity Professional Academy, Lighthouse Construction, Mind and Body Studios, Hawker and Peddler License, Antique Secondhand Dealer, Keeper of Shop License, Antique Secondhand Dealer, Keeper of Shop, Scott C. Noons, Vinyl Siding Cleaning, Westcott Bakery, Team New England, Rhode Island. I believe that is it.
Westcott isn't in there. We already voted on Westcott.
Oh, okay, I apologize.
Am I right about that? Yeah.
They all been approved.
Okay.
Yeah. Consent agendas, correspondence, resolved that the consent agenda having been posted, all matters being referred to proper departments and being disposed or awaiting recommendation, the same is hereby approved.
I'll move the resolution.
I'll
I mean-
second.
Okay, any comments from the council?
We're not gonna take any action on any of these, right? You voting to support this?
Support.
Some? I don't know anything about, and it's none of our business, to tell you the truth. Charlestown wants us to support and Gloucester Special Legislative Commission to study the Low and Moderate Income Housing Act.
Well, there's no vote to that, they're just there in correspondence, so there's no action.
Yeah, we're not taking any action on anything. Fine.
So we can move forward?
Resolution approving Delta Dental of Rhode Island Administrative Services Agreement for the town of West Warwick and West Warwick Public Schools.
Move the resolution.
I'll second. Okay, so, are you gonna speak to this, Karen?
Just briefly, thank you. You will notice tonight that there are many faces in this audience that you all don't recognize. They are here to represent all of the people, all of the organizations that we do business with here in the town of West Warwick to provide employee benefits to our active employees, our retirees, and those that are out on disability. We have 3 resolutions on board tonight, one from Delta Dental, one from our stop-loss carrier, who is going to be Blue Cross this year, and another one from RIMIC, which stands for the Rhode Island Municipal Insurance Collaborative. There are also people that we call our broker of record that we utilize when we go out looking at insurance carriers to see where we're going to get the best bang for our buck. We're trying to save money in this environment that we're in, and so this year we pulled out all the stops. We did as much as we possibly could, because after all, we do have some constraints because of our collective bargaining agreements. They stipulate the type of insurance that we need to offer to our employees, and we can't vary from that at this point in time. So with that said, Delta Dental is our first resolution that has come up. We, the school department and the town, will enjoy a reduction to our administrative fee this year. Delta Dental is a very affordable product, so we will get a 7.5% discount in claims. It's a 3-year period that this contract will be in effect from July 1st of 2018 to June 30th of 2021, which is typically what the town has done in years past. So this again is nothing different for us. We've used Delta Dental for many, many years in this town. And if you have any questions, we have a representative here from Delta Dental that can answer anything that you need to know.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the council? Any questions from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
So our next resolution,
You want to
Well, we
read
need to,
oh, what do you need to do?
it? Resolution approving medical stop loss insurance for the town of West Warwick and West Warwick Public Schools.
I'll move the resolution.
second. Do you want to comment? Go ahead.
Can we move on to the next one, or do you need me to do
Well, we're on
something
J.
else?
So you want to just move on to, well, okay, so you
We gotta
basically
vote.
spoke to that one? Okay.
That was Delta Dental.
Okay, any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You just voted on Delta Dental. Now we're on medical stop loss.
Right.
Oh,
Now on to the stop loss.
oh, I'm
Next one.
sorry.
That's
I
okay.
thought you had already spoken and you were moving us forward. Okay.
No, this is the next one,
Okay,
the next one on the agenda.
right.
All right, so this is the first year for us that we're going to enter into this Rhode Island collaborative. There are collaboratives out there that help you to achieve a reduced rate with Blue Cross. Some of the collaboratives, and I won't name names, but some of the collaboratives are very expensive to enter into. And this would not be the year for us to do that. So we were trying to find an affordable way to also gain a reduction in the administrative cost. There's no two ways about it. We're paying an administrative cost to Blue Cross. We've done well over the years doing it on our own, negotiating with them. But this year we found that we can enter into this collaborative and appreciate their buying power with other municipalities so we can get a better rate than we can get on our own. And we're doing it for a very affordable amount of money. The contract requires that we pay an entry fee of $689.78. That is for the town and the school department, so we will split that accordingly. We will also pay an assessment fee of $2 per contract, which at the current numbers that we have, because our contracts obviously vary depending on our active employees, it will cost us $1,492 for that assessment fee. With that, I can tell you that we will save, based again on our current numbers, $123,000 for the year. So I think it's a small amount of money to enjoy a more favorable administrative fee with Blue Cross. So I will ask that we approve this and enter into this contract. If you have any questions, we have someone here from the Rhode Island Municipal Insurance Collaborative that can speak to anything you may need to know.
So they were the cheapest?
Yes, as far as getting into the contract or an agreement with a collaborative, absolutely. Some of them require 2 months of your claims. Some of them have a very big stronghold, and if you try to get out, it's very difficult to get your money. So you may enjoy a savings, certainly nothing more than we're seeing today, but you're tying up a lot of money, and I don't think that would be advisable. So we've spoken to the town manager, the school department, and we've all put our heads together and thought that this is the best way that we could have a savings like this for a very little output at this time.
Any other comments or concerns from the council?
I'm all for making things work, especially together with the school department.
This seems like a no-brainer. Any public comments? All right, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, resolution passes.
Resolution approving healthcare collaborative for the town of West Warwick and West Warwick Public Schools.
I'll move the resolution.
I'll second.
Take a vote in favor.
Okay, let's take a vote. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Did you want to see this?
So the last one is our stop loss carrier. Now, stop loss is an insurance policy that we buy for the school and the town that helps us in the event that we have exorbitant claims. And unfortunately, claims in the healthcare world are very unpredictable. One very sick person in the school department or the town can shake our experience tremendously. And in the insurance world, that would leave us as if we were not favorable. So we have our broker at Gallagher goes out and puts out a bid for stop-loss carriers. Not very often do you stay with the same stop-loss carrier from year to year, and it's only a one-year contract. And that's unfortunate because, again, they look at your experience, and if it's not been a good year, whether it be, people at the school or the town, those rates skyrocket. And they don't just go up 2-3%, they go up like 30-40%. So the numbers are very, very high. So we work very hard to try to find a stop-loss carrier.
Karen, excuse me, are you still on stop loss, or are you
Yeah.
talking about Blue Cross?
Well,
Administrative
stop loss,
rates?
well, it goes
Okay.
together.
Yeah.
It goes together. Because this year, we're going to go with Blue Cross Blue Shield as our stop loss carrier. In doing so, we will receive a reduction again on our Blue Cross admin rate. So a lot of this year is falling into place where one is laying on top of the other. So we have the stop loss is reducing the Blue Cross admin rate. Joining RIMIC is helping us to reduce our Blue Cross rate. So we're really at for us, it's an all-time low of this administrative rate that we're going to enjoy.
So what would happen next year? You said you only go
Well,
with,
we're in a three-year contract.
With the stop loss.
With the Blue Cross rate,
okay.
okay? And with RIMIC. But on the stop loss side, we will have to see how at the end of the year the rates look. Are they going to be competitive? Will we stay with them?
Because that would change
That
the
that
other
could
rate
potentially
next
right,
year.
Right.
Okay.
But again, unfortunately, you have to have this insurance
Yep.
because you don't really want to get hurt by an exorbitant claim, and unfortunately, we have seen many over the past couple of years. Our experience has been high. So this is a good year for us. We're hoping to see some potential savings, keep our employees healthy, our retirees as best as we can, stay informed, and try to control healthcare.
Any other questions? Any public comment or questions? Okay, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Resolution passes. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Amendment to Article 12 of the Collaborative Bargaining Agreement between the Town of West Warwick and the International Brotherhood of Police Officers, Local 312, effective July 1st, 2014 through July 30th, 2019.
I'll move the amendment.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So Ernie has asked that this get tabled. He has an exhibit that wasn't attached. Do you want to speak to that, Ernie?
Correct. The resolution references an attachment, an exhibit, which is the actual rates that are changing by rank. That was omitted from the resolution. When I submitted it, I did not submit the attachment. So what I ask is this be tabled until the next meeting when we can put the attachment with the resolution, so it would be appropriate and proper for the council to review.
Motion to table.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Who seconds? Okay.
I seconded, yeah.
Cancellation of taxes. Resolved that the attached cancellation in the amount of $35.87 presented to the tax assessor for approval of the town council in accordance with Article 25, Section 5 of the West Warwick Code of Ordinances is hereby approved. The original list is on file in the office of the tax assessor.
I'll move the resolution.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What's this? Fees and charges. Do you want me to read this whole thing?
No, I'm gonna make a motion to waive the reading.
You'll explain it, Madam?
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Back in February,
Wait, make a
Council.
motion. Move it.
I'll move the resolution.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Back in February, the council
passed a resolution setting fees for the Civic Center. The resolution never made it to Appendix B of the fee schedule. This merely puts the resolution 2018-21 that was passed by the council into the Appendix B fee schedule.
Any questions for Al?
No.
Any public comment? All in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Ordinance number 2018-6 as amended, second reading sponsored by Council President Goslin. An ordinance amending Chapter 14, Police Article 4, Security Alarm Regulations of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of West Warwick.
I'll move the ordinance.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second reading, it was passed last meeting.
So,
This is a duplicate.
Wait a minute, what's,
so these are revisions to the language that fix it,
What
correct?
happened was that when we brought the initial ordinance to you, Angelo had some problems
Right.
with the maintenance fees. That was removed, and this goes back. Primarily, it changes some language. We no longer have automatic dialing devices. We pull that out of there, but it's what it basically was.
So you
with
made
some-
requested changes.
Yeah, and last meeting, you gave first reading to it.
Okay.
This is the second reading.
Any other comments or concerns? Any public comment? All right, we'll take a roll call vote. Jason?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Angelo?
yes.
And I vote yes, the resolution passes.
Ordinance number 2018-15, an ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Provisions of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of West Warwick.
Move the ordinance.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This one was, as I stated at the last meeting, as I was been going through the code, I see in all different sections, makes reference to the mayor. Initially, I was trying to correct it as I found it, and then I decided that was an impossible task. So in the administrative section of the code, I put in a position, an amendment that says, anywhere in the Code of Ordinances that it says tax refers to the mayor, it means the town manager.
Any other questions for Al?
Nope, it's a simple one.
Any public comment? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Jason?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Angelo?
Yes.
And I vote yes, resolution passes.
Ordinance number 2018-16, first reading, sponsored by Council President Goslin, previously tabled. An ordinance amending Article 4 of the West Warwick Pension Plan for Police and Fire, and Article 4 of the West Warwick Pension Plan excluding police and fire.
I'll move to take it off the table.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I am going to request that it be placed back on the table to your June 19th meeting.
Motion to table.
The reason being that Tim commented about the lawyer. I've been in touch. I've prepared the revision. Today I went out to the pension board for their approval, and I'll be bringing it back with the corrections on the next meeting.
Motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Ordinance number 2018-17, second reading, sponsored by Council President Goslin, an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Licenses and Business Regulations, Article 13, Tobacco Dealers License and Sales Restrictions of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of West Warwick.
I'll move the ordinance.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Subsequent to the last meeting where you gave us first reading approval, I found out that when I had included the word Juuls, I thought that was a device. It's not. It's a type of tobacco product. So what the ordinance, as I had previously prepared it, did was it was singling out one particular product. What I did in that, and when I found that out, was I removed that from it, but I included in the definition of tobacco products, not only all that we had before, but I added to it and refills. So now the definition of tobacco products is all inclusive. So all we're saying is that all tobacco products must go behind the counter. I received an email today requesting that, this is, I'm gonna ask this be first reading tonight because it's an amendment, that at the second reading, the effective date, which is normally 20 days after you vote, that the effective date be pushed out to 30 or 60 days to give the merchants an ample opportunity to readjust.
The verbiage, I mean, does the verbiage include like the e-cigarettes and like
Yes.
the vapes? Because those, some of them aren't
Yes,
considered
that's-
tobacco. I just want to make
That's
sure
it.
those are
Yeah,
included.
that's
Okay.
all inclusive now.
I would, my opinion, I would go for the 60 days, because I got some phone calls too. And like the email said, they need time to make room, they have to move stuff around, so.
All that will take is when we go to second reading on your ordinances, you'll notice that at the bottom where they get signed as an effective date. When I come before you at your next meeting, and I submit it to Paula, I will have that effective date 60 days from that date of your passage. And that'll take care of it. But I just wanted to find out how long the council wanted and get your approval.
Yeah, 60 seems about appropriate, I think.
Yeah, you gotta give them time, they gotta
Yeah.
make room, I mean,
Yeah,
I think
60
that's-
gives them time. I mean,
I
they
think
still got
that's a
2
fair-
weeks before the 62 now.
I got 3 or 4 too,
I think that's a fair.
Okay.
yeah.
So do we have
So-
to make a motion to amend this as a first?
I ask that you pass the amended version for first reading.
First reading, and then you can pass the amended version next time around.
Good.
Members of the council understand that once it gets passed here, there's 20 days before it becomes law. So the first 20 days out of the 60, it won't be law, but then the 40 days. But the vendor will still have 60 complete days before this, they have to take effect. So the 60 days will start as of the vote. If the vote is a positive vote on the second reading, it'll be 60 days from that date.
From that date, I will put that in, at the bottom of the ordinance where it's signed, it says effective date, and I will put the date 60 days out.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So does someone want to make that motion?
I
I'll
don't
make a
think-
motion that we pass this and then we'll amend next
I don't-
council meetings.
I don't think we have a
Amended
motion.
first
Pass,
reading.
pass is a first reading.
Yeah, we don't have to make a motion, right? We
Move
just-
to pass this as is,
Yeah,
and then
Moved as read,
yeah.
I move the ordinance.
To a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Now I'll make, the amendment
Pass
That'll-
as amended.
pass as amended for the next council meeting, so it would give them the 60 days.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it.
Ordinance number
Wait,
2000.
we don't need to do a roll call for that one? No?
No.
it's first reading.
Okay, all right.
Ordinance number 2018-18, second reading, sponsored by Council President Goslin. An ordinance amending Chapter 13, Planning and Development, Chapter 15-5, Soil Erosion and Sediment Control, and Chapter 16,
Gee,
Streets
don't that
and
sound familiar?
Sidewalks of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of West Warwick.
I'll move the ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This was with, when I was doing the code update, I referred the sections that required engineering to Jim Jeremia, and Jim Jeremia supplied the language to bring those sections up to date with the state law. So this is one where basically Jim Jeremia has brought our code up to date with state law. It's here for second reading.
Any comments?
Nope.
Any public comment? Should just as roll call. I'll take a roll call vote. Jason?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Angelo?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Resolution passes.
Ordinance number 2018-19, first reading, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 8, Officers and Employees, Division 2, Pensions and Retirement, Section 2-231, Pension Benefits for non-union employees of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of West Warwick.
I'll move the ordinance.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I was informed that the section of the code dealing with the pension, the town contribution was increased from 5 to 7%, and I just made that change to comply with what the council has apparently already done.
Any further questions from the council? Any public comment? Take a roll call vote. Jay?
First
reading,
reading.
I apologize.
Still vote, we're all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Did you want to move?
Yeah, actually, Al, if you want to stick around, can I make a motion? I'll make a motion to move V, action,
Yeah, Al, you're
action,
gonna stick around for
discussion
the
action,
ward report.
V1, clothing bins. I'd like to make a motion to move that up right now, just
I'll
because.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Reason I'm moving this up is that Al is gonna add some input to this issue, so I know you're gonna stick around, but, so it's the clothing bins, I know you had an issue in your ward. This wasn't specific to yours. I had many concerns in Ward 3 about the clothing bins. I know they do serve a purpose. I mean,
I
you
got
must
the
have
same,
had
I got
issue.
the same problem.
I understand they do serve a purpose, and they are a business first and foremost. They are a business, and I have no problem with there being a business. But if Angelo's Bar had couches lined outside of it, you know, if Matos Bakery had couches outside, we would have a building inspector out there right away. So when you see like the incident you had at the end of your road, when you see couches and people dumping mattresses there, it's free to drop a mattress off at the DPW, first of all, but to just drop off stuff there, it's disgusting. Sometimes it sits there for weeks.
Providence Street School, perfect example.
And then, I mean, and it's not exclusive to West Warwick. I see the
Do
problems in
these
Coventry, West
businesses
Warwick.
have permission to put these bins there?
Some do, some don't. Sometimes they put them there and nobody questions
I
it.
had an incident a couple of years ago. There were 2 bins outside of Greenbush.
These are the book ones,
These
correct?
were the book ones. And the school wasn't getting anything from it at that point, and they were making a profit from it, and
Yeah, we're getting-
was able to get.
Well, I think a lot of times, from talking to some businesses over the past couple of years, sometimes what happens is the people that owns the bins go, "Hey, can we put this bin here?" And the business isn't making any money, but they just feel like they're doing
Yeah.
a good thing by leaving it there. I mean, if you're gonna have a bin there, you should be responsible to clean it up.
What we have to do, Al, what I think, is you have to come up with some kind of ordinance or law.
As of now,
There is
can't have
none.
them.
We can't, you
We
can't
can't.
have
He
them.
said, yeah.
So what can we do?
The
Can't,
back-
can't have the bins,
No,
they
he's-
have an ordinance.
The background to this is that when Council Messer sent me the email and I looked into it, I look at the bin as a use. In a technical term, in the zoning code, it is a use of property. So if I have a business, there's a use out there, is it accessory to the business? First problem we got is a comma that's in the wrong place in the ordinances that our accessory uses, and I just went over this with Mark Carullo. As it stands now, our accessory uses only apply to residential districts. It is clear that a clothing bin is not an accessory use to a residence. So it's not allowed in any residential district. That's clear. I then went through the zoning code and I looked at the municipal ordinances for the 16 other communities that are on the internet, and I checked the state laws under clothing bins, and I found absolutely nothing. Our ordinance makes no reference anywhere to clothing bins. That being the case, we have a provision in our ordinance that says if it's not listed, then there is a procedure you have to go through to get permission to do it. So if I wanted to put a clothing bin somewhere, I have to go to the planning board and have the planning board give a favorable recommendation to the zoning board. The zoning board then acts on it, and there are certain stipulations in the code that the zoning board has to find and impose. We made that change because a number of years ago, we had a situation where the use was not listed. And our zoning code at that time said if it's not listed, you can't have it. Well, there are uses today that didn't exist back in 1965 when our zoning code was passed. So I felt that was just wrong. And I went before the council several years ago now, and I said, look, we can't just prohibit unlisted uses. Let's put it in that you can have them, but not make it an easy thing. So if you've got something that's not in the code, which in my opinion, the clothing bin is not in the code, you have to go to the planning, get planning to recommend to zoning, and get zoning to pass to give you the approval. So my opinion, as of today, is that clothing bins are not allowed in the town of West Warwick.
Did they get a number of how many there were in town?
Clothing bins? I have no idea.
And we don't know because they're not registered or
They
anything.
don't pay a business licensing fee. You don't know who they are, and few people I know, they said that one day they came into their shop and there was a clothing thing, and they found out who then told them to move it. But, I mean, I understand it's a good thing, but they're profiting by it, and it's a magnet for everybody to
It's being
stop
ab- it's
there
being
and
abused
throw-
right now.
Exactly. And I understand it's not whoever owns these bins, it's not their fault, but they're the cause of it. So,
See,
I mean, Providence Street School, I had to call Pam called the owner, told them to get that bin out of there or clean up the mess. There was a dump truck load of mattresses, couches, I mean, stuff that belonged in the
The
dump.
only
Why don't
place
we-
in town that I think they would be allowed would be at a place, say like the Salvation Army.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
that is part, they've got the right to use that business. Part of that business is collecting things.
My suggestion would be is have either DPW or someone do an inventory around town to find out how many there are, what types of property they're on, provide notice to all the property owners, let them come in if they've got any type of authority that supersedes the towns that allows them to be there. But other than that, put them on notice that there's gonna be,
That's basically, that's a zoning violation.
right, but I'm saying right now, we don't even know how many there are.
Yeah, but you're gonna, the person who owns the property is gonna get the zoning
That's right.
violation.
Right, but you have to put them on notice that something's happening,
And I
because
don't
if
mi-
someone's had their, been on their property for 5, 6, or 7 years,
Yeah.
you know,
And this isn't about trying to find any of these businesses either. I mean, it's.
well, that's why I think
Yeah.
the appropriate thing to do is do an inventory, find out who owns them, or the property owners, give the property owners notice. Should the property owner have any type of law or authority that allows them to have that superseding the towns, let them bring that forward. Other than that, see if things can get done prior to issuing zoning violations.
As Tim is pointing out, that the owner may have something. I always feel uncomfortable when I've got a negative. That, you know, I researched office bins. There might be something that I missed. I don't think so. I know the zoning code well enough to know it's not in there. When I did all the other municipalities, all I could do was put in office bins. I mean, I didn't know what else to go under.
Right.
And didn't come up with anything. You know, God knows what it could be under.
And this is also
So
not to defend the people that are just throwing garbage there, because that's not what they were
No.
intended for. That's first and foremost, but that's what people are using them for. Like you said, it's like it attracts them. It's like throwing out cheese and getting mad that the mouse comes out and grabs it.
You know, I think that
Some mice do.
if there could be some type of public notice or publicity or something that the council has looked into this.
I know a guy with a
Very-
Facebook
very
page. I'll have him put
concerned.
something out there.
You know, very concerned.
But I still
that the
think,
own- yeah, no, I agree.
the
But
property
the
owner should
owners-
be notified, because again,
Yeah, that the owners,
there's people that have been doing things, and let's just say for argument's sake, one of the locations is a church.
yeah.
Well, churches have been taking in, you know, clothes and shoes for years. It would be an accessory use, it's private property, so are you gonna
I
cite
am,
them?
I am gonna
mean,
bet that any place that knowingly has one of those on their property thinks they're doing a good thing.
Probably, of course.
They do.
Yeah.
Like I said, the best way is give them notice. If there is an authority that allows them to have it, maybe that's a legit authority. Other than that, give them enough time to either remove it or file the appropriate application before our zoning board to have it.
Well,
Correct, and I kind of agree with that. If a church, for example, wants to do that and they want to come before us and tell us, yeah, we're going to keep this property clean, there's not going to be an issue, and they haven't had an issue.
I think the church has a little bit of a.
Yeah, but still, they're running a business without a
No,
business
the
license.
church is,
But as Al indicated, an accessory part of the church's business has always been obtaining things for the poor. They've always had poor boxes, whether it's food, clothing, or something else. So it technically would be an accessory use. It's not an accessory use, say, for a doctor's office to collect clothes. You know, it's got nothing to do with the doctor's business.
So when people,
Sal's-
when people
South
leave,
Secosha tax assessor. Well, the DPW might be able to get some things. I'll have my personal property guy
Yeah.
start looking,
Just
because
take it
I
off
thought the same thing. I didn't think these people were making money on this. If this is a business.
Absolutely.
Then.
Not all of,
They're making a lot of money.
I'm not sure if all of them
owners
are. There
are
is,
all- the
But
owners
we'll
all
check.
in are making the
I'm
money.
sure they have their names on them.
even the big brothers and and sisters, that one is still a profit? I know,
Well,
The problem
that's
is
just
there's
because
just
you're
so
a
many
nonprofit,
different
doesn't mean there's no
entities.
money coming in.
But brothers and sisters don't put them bins out.
there's a couple.
They'll come to your
Just get the-
house
get the
and
information.
get,
Big
First,
Brothers
then
and
bring it
Sister
back to
has
the
a big
council.
place in Harwood and Cranston, and they're taxed
All
pretty
right,
good.
so are we in agreement to
So
start
we'll
with
work on
Yeah.
some
getting a
sort
little
of
scuttle
inventory?
from them.
Thank you, Sal. Stan,
Yes, yeah, sure.
go ahead.
I mean, and before Stan, I've done some research on some of the, I mean, some of these are multi-billion-dollar companies. They're not small companies. You know, they're making a lot of money.
Of course.
Stan Tabak, 12 Gendron Street, West Warwick. You're right. A lot of these companies this is a profitable business, okay? But there's some nonprofits, as a matter of fact, that you met with Goodwill, where they're a nonprofit, they do good things, they share in the revenue whoever has the bin on their property, so they don't. So if the town had it on their property, they would share the revenue with them. Also, they will pick up whatever debris, mattresses that are placed there, they will remove it. You call them up, they'll take that out of there within 24 hours. So it's a non-issue, okay? They're No, they get permission first before they put. No, you're talking about I'm talking about Goodwill. Goodwill does the same thing.
None of them.
What?
If the homeowner, landowner, commercial owner gives permission, that's great, there's only one problem. That property owner doesn't have the legal right to give them
Okay.
what I was talking about.
Well, I'm talking about when they put a bin out, Goodwill, they get permission, they make sure everything is in line before they drop a bin somewhere. And again,
Wait, who are they getting permission from?
well, in this case, I had one of the representatives meet with Ernie this past week,
Right.
and they were looking at putting a possible bin over there.
Right, that's the
But
town, that's the town's property.
That's town property, but they get permit. They don't just drop bins. There's a lot of people that have bins. They're made for profits. I mean, a lot of people think they're donating clothes and blah, 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 but a lot of people are making money off of this stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay? This is not the situation. Yes, Goodwill is raising money because they're a nonprofit to do the things that they do, but they share it within the community as well. But my point here is that they will remove whatever's dropped there, and they will make a discretionary decision. If they're having a problem in an area, they will remove the bin
That
themselves.
may be Goodwill, but there are a lot of
I know,
different-
but there's
yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
them. But I'm just saying, there's some of them. I don't want everybody clustered into this
I don't
bucket
think, I don't
here.
think the town council wants to prohibit them. I think they just want to notice, number one, if it is a business and a non-accessory use, they have to get a license. 3, they got to be responsible for cleaning up, and they have to act exactly like Goodwill does. And if all the owners of these bins acted like Goodwill does, this issue's probably not in front of the council tonight. But because there's been a pileup of debris, garbage, laundry, furniture,
Oh, I
mattresses,
agree with that.
that's why it needs to be addressed.
I agree with it. I'm just saying that they are a problem. But I'm just saying there's an organization that's a nonprofit that shares in it. They remove whatever's there within 24 hours if there's a problem. And they do it the right way. And again, if the bin is an issue on a regular basis, they will remove the bin themselves because it's not worth the aggravation.
You're missing the point.
I know.
As of today, the bin can't be there. They have no right.
To be there, I know, they never dropped it. I just want to state that,
I don't think anybody on the council disagrees with that.
okay, I
And
just don't want,
What I was going to go to.
Does that include town property that we approved?
As of now, I don't see anybody,
Okay.
except as Tim puts it, maybe a church or a Salvation Army. What I was going to suggest, ask the council, not suggest, is did you want me to look into coming up with something that will allow
Thank you, Stan.
them with
Thank you, Stan.
regulation and or fee or something
Also to add to that, the council can stay any remedial action against any of these proprietors that have these bins until you get the information you're looking for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't have to come in, bring the army in to
No,
remove things. Get the inventory done, find out what's going on, and then address it from there.
I will make sure that until the issue gets resolved, the building office doesn't, other than making sure.
Unless there's a mess there,
Yeah,
then.
if there's a mess, that's different, but I'm talking about enforcing against the landowner. And if the council wants, I'll try to, to put in the form of an ordinance, but for discussion, something with, that they've got to register, they've got to get not a license, but a permit maybe, pay a fee, and they got to come in with permission from the landowner.
I mean, I'm okay with the fee because it wouldn't be, if I'm a business and I say, yeah, you can put the bin there, but you're gonna pay the fee if you wanna put it there to the town.
I mean, off the top of my head, I would say you need permission from the landowner in writing. You gotta get a permit, so we know where they are. You gotta pay a fee, and if there's any cost incurred in the collection of either the overflow or stuff by the town, you're gonna be responsible for it. I mean, I just,
Or we could, and I think maybe some verbiage in there where if your spot, I mean, like Stan said, if there's a spot that continues to be an issue, then you lose your right to have that bin there. If you're a church and you can maintain it and it's not an issue, you can have it, but if you lose that right when you can't maintain the cleanness.
well, my suggestion then is to continue it for a discussion the next meeting, and in the interim, I will submit just a rough draft of ideas that the council can discuss at your next meeting.
And Sal, if you could send, if you get that inventory, if you wanna send the council over an email in the next, we could, yeah, that's fine.
Ernie, this would be for you. With that, we've had a lot of these bins be dumping zones. Could we get some type of data on how many times our guys had to go out and clean up the mess that were over there? I can tell you on Revere Avenue, it's awful.
Who ended up cleaning, was it our guys that went out? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. All I knew it was gone.
It wasn't correct. We called, okay, but the town still had to, this town still was on the hook for paying for it. Why did we not, I mean, did anybody try to contact that bin and for that issue? Or for any of these?
No, all I knew was it was gone. I assumed that Nicole was handling that. So I assumed that Nicole handled that.
I mean, it's good. We want to get rid of it, but I mean, that's something where we should look into like charging whoever owns that bin for however much we paid. What do we pay Mega for that? $1,000? Yeah, I would reach out to whoever owns that bin and put them on the hook for that $1,000.
And if the business chooses to have that there because they want to do the good deed, which is fine with them, they're gonna have to incur that cost. It shouldn't be our cost at all.
No, it should not. I mean, the way it was explained to me, at least by the Goodwill, who was interested in putting a bin on the American Legion property, and we were looking for the lease with them to see if that was even possible. We didn't, quite frankly, I didn't think about the zoning issue, so I'm glad it came up before I would bring it to the council. Now, they run it, as Stan said, a very efficient operation where they get permission from the owner gets paid a monthly fee. They change the bin, I believe, every week, and if there's a complaint or a call about excessive garbage, they'll be there in 24 hours and clean it up. And that is a nonprofit organization, so the proceeds stay within the state of Rhode Island for their activities, for the individuals they serve. However, that's not all organizations. There are others that do not do that. And apparently there are those who let these material and debris sit there, and that's the problem. So I agree with the regulations to restrict that, and clearly the town should not be paying for debris removal from these bins. The company should be called and told to get that stuff out of there or get the bin out of there. So I agree with that. So going forward, that's what we will do.
Okay.
Okay, so we start with an inventory, we determine, where these bins are placed, who's placing them.
Right.
You'll move forward.
I'll move forward if you put it on the next meeting, again, for discussion, so I don't have it in the form of any ordinance that has to be voted on, just that way you can.
I would personally much rather have, a couple reputable companies or nonprofits placing their bins that we can sort of monitor versus, 10 small companies who are randomly placing these things, and most of them are for profit.
I mean, I don't mind a business making a profit, but as long as they can keep it, maintain it and pay the proper fees, it's not fair for them to not pay fees when everybody else is in town. But I do agree with you, I prefer that, but I don't think, it's up to us to determine who we
I
allow.
don't think we can
Yeah.
set,
Yeah, how
just
you
like
gonna
I
do
took
that?
Jules out of.
No, I agree,
Quebec, I
yeah,
don't think we can
yeah,
pick companies.
as long as they're maintaining them, I
It
don't
just
care
seems
who it
somewhat
is.
deceptive to me that, these bins are placed and people are donating things that could be sold or, they're not necessarily
all are. They're
going to
they're
charity organizations
They
or to
sell them
help
to,
people.
you can sell them at Savers by
Where-
the
where
by the
goodwill
pound.
they are.
Why do you think they're there?
No, it's just sleazy.
Well, the way it was, just since we're talking, the way it was explained to me is if they are newish items of clothing, those can be sold in stores, that type of thing, and the rest of it will be sold overseas. So these companies do make money, that's what they do, so it is profitable for them, but they do take the best of items and resell them in stores, and they sell them to Savers and places like that, or their own stores locally, so.
All right, Mary Ann, can you put that on the next agenda, clothing bins, just for discussion action one more time? We can revisit that. Thank you, Al.
Thank you. Manager's report?
Yes, I have two items to mention. I had a meeting with the consultant who did the organizational review of the sewer department, and we discussed an engagement with the town, and he was receptive to that. So at this point, we are reviewing a scope of services, what are they going to do? And hopefully that will be wrapped up very shortly, and the intent is to submit that for the next council for your review. And the engagement, if approved, would begin July 1st with the new fiscal year or sometime in July. So we're working out the details, and we hope to have those ironed out and presented to the council for the next meeting. The other item is the Civic Center budget. The second public hearing was canceled for this evening based upon the discussion at the first public hearing as far as the need to present a balanced budget in revenues and expenses. So the staff has been working to that endeavor, and we do have a balanced budget going forward to present to the council. So we could either do one of two things, either have a workshop to go over, the budget and the changes that were made next week or whenever, or we could have a longer period for a second public hearing, rather than a shorter one, a little longer, so the changes and recommendations can be explained to the council and answer any questions you may have in the public. For example, based upon the research that was done, the rents for those areas are woefully insufficient. So we're going to have to need to increase those to more of a reasonable rate. So those are the types of things, as well as having more programming for the ice arena in the summer. So there are things that can be done that can raise revenue, and as well as some reduced expenses, as we were talking about some of the utilities. So there are items that have changed. We do have a balanced budget. So the question would be, would the council be interested in having a workshop to go over that specific issue, or potentially a longer, public hearing so the changes can be discussed at the next council meeting? A special meeting before the council meeting, and then action at the regular June 19th meeting. So those are the two options. But the good news is there is a balanced budget that makes sense. It's going to require some modifications and changes to the way things are done, but they would be done, for the better and more realistic assumptions, especially things like the rent and utilities. We've been researching. So again, the question is, would you like a workshop, and then a public hearing, and then an action item on the agenda, or would you rather have a longer public hearing to discuss these items, and then the action item on the 19th? So I'll just throw that up to the council.
How do you want to do that?
I would have it at a regular council meeting.
I'd like to have it one night.
Okay, so then we can, if that's the consensus, then we can schedule a longer, meeting for that, so that the staff can review what the changes would be, answer any questions, and if acceptable, have, public comment, and then we would have a resolution for the regular meeting based upon the proposed revised budget, or if the council wants to change it, then that
So
can
would
be
this be
amended.
like prior to the meeting, or would just be part of the meeting on the agenda?
Well, we can send out the information, the information will be sent out in advance of the meeting. But what we would have is the public hearing rather than, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 or an hour or something. That way, we can discuss what the changes are, council can ask whatever questions, and then whatever questions the public has. And then close that and then go into the regular meeting. And then there would be a resolution on there to approve the budget for the fiscal year 19.
Okay.
All right. So we'll do that.
Any updates on the search for fire chief?
The final interviews, the final interviews will be done this week, and then the successful candidate or candidates, there'd be background checks done. So I do not believe that would be done for the second meeting in June. So we would be looking at the recommendation on the first meeting in July, or I guess the July meeting, which would be July 17th, so it'd only be, the one meeting. So that's what we're looking at this point.
Are you doing second interviews now? Are you going to interview for a second time, or how did you approach that?
Well, we had a internal working group review, which was Chief Ferris was more of a consultant, personnel director, and Mark Crew and myself. We had candidates selected, and unfortunately, I had to be out of town, so I missed some of the interviews. So I'm going to be interviewing those individuals that were interviewed by the working group minus myself with that. So at that point then, I would have interviewed the first group, the second group, and the interview committee has interviewed them all. So then they would give me their advice and recommendations, and I would also have that, myself the interview as well. So if there would be a need for a second interview, certainly I would do that. But everyone would have the benefit of having the interviews completed this week. And if I would need a second interview with the finalists, then I would do that.
Okay.
Any other questions for the manager?
Thank you, Ernie.
Ward reports, Ward 1.
Yeah, I have a few things. Again, Freddie, Prospect Hill Avenue. Going up, Fort Apache to Bronx as usual. Another jackpot over there. Is Freddie here? We have to get our building official, Ernie. This is a constant problem. It's a real dump. The first 5 houses going up the hill on the left-hand side coming from Providence Street, it's a constant, and we, again, should not be paying anything for this. The landlord should be paying. I don't know if we gotta fine him big, because this has been going on for 40 years. And
Yeah,
this
really-
guy,
I really wish there was something where for repeat offenders, there was like a harsher
this guy,
penalty.
it's a constant, Freddie will tell you, it's a constant problem, constantly. And all the people that live on top of the hill, they maintain their property, and then 4 or 5 houses make it look like Fort Apache to Bronx. It just, I don't know what he's gonna, hit him hard with a fine. There's gotta be something we can, for, consistently. It's just constantly.
Is it the appearance of the property, debris on the property, or?
Mattresses, couches,
Okay.
garbage thrown all around. It's on the sidewalk now.
Okay.
No tags, nothing. But this is constant, consistently. The other thing, I wanted Al to be here. The project on Wakefield Street, the condos, that's another, I can't even explain. I have a few of my constituents here today. They flooded properties around. They flooded my home. They dug up my yard. They it looked like a tsunami went through Mr. Gates's property. These people, they're ruining our quality of life, everyone around us. The dirt piles, they're not moving, they're not doing anything. It's been going on for 7 years. The dust all on the houses, filthy, filthy. The windows are filthy. They're not putting any calcium down. They're not wetting it down every day like they're supposed to. I remember when they went to zoning and planning, they promised this, they promised that. They're doing absolutely nothing. And, Johnny, you wanna come up and?
Why my son first, then if I could.
I'd like to add something with this, though. It's, whenever we have these developments or new projects coming in, most of the people aren't from around here. So they come in, they make all these promises, and then all of a sudden, they take off. Either don't fulfill the entire job.
That's another one.
Or you have to live through this for months and months and months, and there's no repercussions.
This is years.
You know, it's not right.
No, they should be required to fulfill any covenants in their plans. And erosion control, any of these requirements they should be adhering
So
to.
who sets these consequences, though, when this isn't done?
Well, again, it starts with the planning and the plans, and then they go to the building enforcement to make sure that what's being proposed is being done correctly.
I spoke to Al a dozen times on this. Al's been very good with it. My constituents are up in arms. I'm up in arms. It's just a continuous thing that we have no results. That we have no teeth in.
We have no remedy.
We have no remedy to do it.
There's a remedy if there is a penalty clause that was agreed to by the developer way back when. But if there's no penalty clause, the only thing the private landowners can do is take the developer and/or contractor to court based upon the argument that Councilman Padula was making.
But that doesn't fix the now,
I do.
though.
I have an
No,
attorney.
it's of course not of fixing it now, because if you go to court, you can get a restraining order, you can get injunctive relief, you can do a lot of different things to prevent the contractor from continuing the effect on everyone's life and/or make him comply with any terms and conditions. But if there were no terms and conditions, and hasn't there been, how many different developers or contractors that are doing that?
Same one.
Same one.
I mean, I've never seen anything like this in my life. 8 years ago, they cleared, they did this, they did that. Usually, they could build 10 Taj Mahals by the time this guy's gonna put up.
Funding a
They-
problem?
Yes. But they went in initially, before they had permission,
And they,
and they clear cut the land. They cut every tree down. And then, you get on them, what are you gonna do? You can't put the trees back. Things just got worse and worse and worse. The town planner has been on their case with the soil erosion plans, and they keep giving assurances, and he stops them, and they give assurances, and things go wrong. I met with Mark Carullo and George Dumont yesterday, and because I'm removed from what's going on in that building area, but the status of it is that when there was a complaint, I believe filed by someone on Caitlin, is that the street?
Yeah, it was
Okay, okay. And so at that point in time, George Dumont went out and looked at it, and he came back with the opinion that the problem out there is beyond his ability, that this is an engineering problem. So they contacted our town engineer, Jim Jeremiah, and Jim went out and looked at it, and he has apparently, he was supposed to send a letter to Mark and George, I think today, I don't know whether they got it or not, detailing exactly what had to be done, because he said there are a number of engineering violations out there. Today is Tuesday, Sunday, I want to say Sunday afternoon, I got a call from the attorney from the contractor who was in Scotland. and he called me up for a half hour, making a lot of allegations that when I met with George and Mark, the allegations being made by the attorney are just not true. So at this point in time, I left it with Mark and George that they were waiting for the report from the town engineer, and that the town is between a rock and a hard place. If you shut them down, things get worse, and to try and make them do it, I went through, when Angelo contacted me about the 10th time, I went through all of the statutes I could find, all of the building commission code, all of our ordinances, and I just couldn't find anything that gives us teeth in this situation. I mean, I'm at a loss. I wish I wasn't, but I am.
It's just a shame.
And I've met, as I said, with Mark and with, they are pushing for final approval, which they're not getting. But that, they don't get final approval, they can't get the permit, they can't get the permit, they can't get the money, and it's a dog chasing its tail.
They rerouted a wetlands over there.
Yeah.
Tony's got water in his yard. He had mud over a foot deep. I was there numerous times. Other neighbors are complaining on the hilltop side that all the mud, all the dust, they can't even open their windows. It's like I didn't buy a house, and none of my constituents bought a house near a gravel pit, and that's what that is, a gravel pit. They built the land. If you ever see the way they built up on one side, I got pictures, and my attorney's got them too. At least 20 feet high. Al, you seen the back? 20 feet high with nothing holding that. So when you get a torrential downpour or rains, all that silt, mud, rocks are going in his yard, going around. I mean, it's just, I've been going through this. We've all been going through it. I don't know what
DEM was just mentioned to me. They contacted DEM. DEM says we're too busy.
This is what they're doing.
Angelo, there's a stream.
Just step up to the mic and
Give
state
your name and address.
Yeah, my name's Anthony Gates. I live in Hilltop Estates. But there's a stream in between my house and your house that was a running stream of water. Like in my yard, there's I think it's either 8-inch or 12-inch pipe that drains.
It
diverts into a running stream. That's what it was. But now all this gravel rushed into there, and you can walk on it now. And so all this water's, when it rains, is draining into the stream, and it's just sitting there. And where all the gravel came in, the water's not running down anymore. So they completely backfill the whole running stream of water.
What this gentleman just said is what Mark and George told me Jim Jeremiah found in his investigation.
And
this is what he's doing.
My neighbor's yard, it's like standing water. And like, I find it suspicious. I think it has something to do with this water not draining out anymore.
It never was there before.
It was never as wet as it is.
Never.
You can't even walk. So I'm suspicious that, seeing that this stream is completely full of gravel, you could throw a boulder on it and the water doesn't even, there's no water anymore. You can walk on the thing. So I think all this water is just getting backed up. And like you said, on the side of my yard slopes down. They built this thing up at least 20 feet high on the side of my yard. And it's being held up by like, it's being held up.
DEM said they're too busy to look into it?
Yeah. Well, I think the next call is gonna be to Janet Coy. That's the next call. They can't keep letting everyone live like this. This has gotta end somehow, somewhere. It's just, it's out of control. I can't even describe. And how I originally found out, I have a septic system. One for one side of the house, one for the other. Joe Argenti. I happened to go up, it was pouring rain. My system failed on the left side of the property. I went there, I looked, he dug a 10-foot hole by 40 foot long on my property line and made a pond where he flooded out my leach field. I had to get an emergency hookup from the sewer, for the sewers, because half my house wasn't livable. This is where it started. Then he's got silt, black, what do they call that, Al? The plastic stuff to stop. Silt fence. Yeah, yeah, it's black, it looks like landscaping. On a 20-foot mountain.
It's holding up boulders the size of like this desk. And then they put another one on my property, which I told the guy, I'm like, I really don't want that there, it's not gonna look right. But he's like, well, God forbid this happens again, I want it there. But that tells me that they're not even confident the stuff's not gonna keep falling down, but it's still on my property. Which I let them put there because he told me it's probably gonna happen again.
I wouldn't have let him put it on my property.
I know, but when it,
If it wasn't there, it would be worse. So if they did that from the beginning.
Come to the mic.
You gotta get
Come
up.
up, state your name, address.
Yeah.
Just state your name and address. for the
My name is
record.
John Gates. Well, it's my son. I'm just here helping him out.
Fine.
And I came to City Hall. I never get involved. I just come here, pay my taxes, and, you know, we just do our thing here. Right, Angelo?
You're right, Johnny.
I came to City Hall. The two gentlemen that this guy just mentioned, within a day, they were at my house. They returned all my calls. I was like amazed that they actually cared about people that they never met. But my son just moved in a couple of years ago, paid a decent amount of money for the property, and then they came in. I measured it. It's 39 feet high, 39 feet. And they put all these retaining fences up. Now, the contractor called me about a month ago, and they did put some lumen seed down where a volcano came. It was like lava. So I will say they came down, they put some seed and some lumen. But where the lava came down, they had to leave such a mess. So in case it happens again, they got like a filter. And that filter is made of trees and rocks. And like I measured it, and they'll come for like a month, and then they'll leave for 8 months. They take all the equipment away, and there's never anyone there to speak with. And like I said, it's just a constant battle. And now they put all these fences up. My son just had a baby a couple of days ago. I want to put like a playground back there. If I had put it there last year, if the baby was born a year earlier, it would have got washed away. Everything this gentleman here is saying, it can't be true enough.
And that same thing, what they did, they got sewer covers that the contractor didn't put back on to the sewer pipes.
And all the stuff ran down.
When that rain came, all the rocks and mud went into the pumping station. Good thing they didn't blow all the pumps, but it was a $5,000 job for our guys to go there, four guys all night, because they had a problem with the pumping station. Now, I don't know if he got reimbursed for it yet, but I told him to get reimbursed.
I saw the pictures of that. You can't believe.
You would
Right.
never believe what this guy is doing to this community.
No,
What he's
that
doing to
running
that
stream, Andrew,
neighborhood.
that running stream that they buried with the lava that came down, it came out of a cement pipe, so that water was meant to be diverted.
Right.
And now we throw a rock down there, it doesn't even ripple anymore. It goes into a small pond. And now, the neighbor, he's not here tonight, and part of his property, we got standing water.
Yeah, he was working.
My landscaper, you can't even like mow the grass.
You're gonna have all mosquitoes there.
Well, besides, I know, that's bad
The
enough.
summer's coming, you're gonna get the swampy smell.
So our question now is the guy just going for good? I mean, he maybe shouldn't have even been given the permit to even do this job. So,
Well, they come up with all these ideas.
well, I know, we
they
appreciate the
come
council
in.
just taking our case, believe me. I know you got your hands full, but it's
gotta
really not
be-
fair.
It's gotta be something, and believe me, Al's working on it, we got our planner working on it.
I can't say enough, these guys come out the next day. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Working on it.
Yep.
Something's gonna be done, it's gonna be done soon.
We appreciate you guys hearing us.
Thank you.
And like I say, they leave for like 8 months at a time, then they come back with one piece of equipment.
Or every Saturday and Sunday morning at 7 o'clock, they're loading dirt on a dump truck,
Yeah.
making all the dust go throughout the neighborhood, all down Wakefield Street, all down the Hilltop, all them little Hilltop Estates, I call it. And then Monday, they'll come back, they got 7 other dump trucks coming, dumping some other stuff. It's like a gravel pit.
Like Angela's
It's
saying,
never
now
ending.
there's mounds of dirt that should be graded into final grade It's just sitting there, so every time it rains, it just comes all the way back again.
I mean, there's gotta be
So-
something where,
Should call it DEM, it'll be on Channel
I'm
10,
gonna,
believe
I'm
me.
gonna get a hold of head one on that
Want to thank the council again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from Ward One?
No, I've been on it long enough. I'm just, one other thing, you can tell elections starting, the, letters are starting to come unsigned, no names on it, making accusations. I just wanna bring it up. I don't care what you say about me, but if you include my family, like you did, and make false accusations, you better hope I never find out. So, the bullshit's starting already. So, this isn't gonna be a battle, it'll be a war. So the coward that wrote the letter, continue to do what you're doing, and someday you're gonna be one sorry person. That's all I have to say.
Ward Three?
Actually, first, I wanted to bring this up in the manager's report, but we have a new minimum housing inspector, correct? Started yesterday. Chuck Davy is his name, right? So that hopefully can help us alleviate some of the issues with some of the maintenance of housing inspections issues. I'll make it quick. The Shippey Ave drainage project continues to move closer and closer. Either this Thursday or next Wednesday, we're gonna have an in-house meeting. And during that meeting, we're gonna plan a date for the residents of that area. So I want everybody to know that it's coming soon. We're on schedule with the timeline that Mark Carullo gave me earlier, which was late spring, early summer. It's right where we are right now. So just want to give everybody an update on that. And then also, beginning July 11th, Wednesdays throughout the summer, the West Warwick Summer Concert Series starts right at the West Warwick Gazebo. So it's always a good time to go out there and listen to some music and be a community. So that's all I got for Ward 3.
Thank you. Four?
I just have a few things, more for Freddie. As I've been driving by the Crompton Playground, can you put new basketball nets up? They're hanging on by a string, so that should get done soon. Also at Flat Top, I went into Flat Top yesterday. It's loaded with trash, and the grass, it's very thin, but it's about 2 feet high in the parking lot. So if you could take care of that as well. And the last thing, the Messier stone, was that ever taken care of? Do you know?
I believe Duffy found 2 of the pieces. I think there's one still missing,
Okay.
but I think we're still looking, but I'd like to get it re-erected.
Oh, Brian Messier.
I'm sorry, yeah, Brian Messier. I know, Tom had brought this to my attention a few days ago. And
I missed what you said when you first started.
I think Duffy found 2 pieces of it, and I think there's 1 piece still missing.
So I looked, Saturday or Sunday, there's a big piece that says Brian Messier's top of it that we fixed.
Yeah.
Is there. You look down the embankment where the tree is,
Okay.
the branch comes up this way, you look down and it's there with a bunch of bags of trash.
So somebody had stole it or broke it, and what had happened?
The stone was erected for Brian Messier. He was a sports fan. All you guys know him.
Yes.
And the punks wound up snapping the stone. It was a tall stone, and they snapped it right off in half. And my kids went down. We had some guy come down and drilled holes. We put rebar in it and glued it all back together with epoxy. And then it got broken again. Now all of a sudden, somebody sent me a message because of the scouting thing back in the day that this stone was down that embankment.
Yeah, I saw that post.
And I said, no, that's not there. That's over at the ballpark on Pulaski Street or Hepburn. And I went, sure enough, that stone went from Hepburn Street, the ballpark, the Messier Field, to Flat Top down that embankment with a bunch of black bags of trash, and I don't know if it's brush or what, but they're big black bags. And it's way down a steep embankment. I took a little stroll the long way around and came in, and there's other pieces of that stone that are down. It looks like all the pieces are down there. And the big piece that says Brian Messier
is visible on Saturday. I went and looked at it again.
Can we get someone to go down there and?
Yeah, we'll have to fish it out.
Is that,
I would love to see somebody.
Is that going back to Crompton?
Do anything, but I'd
What's
love
that?
to
Is
see
that going back
somebody
to
pick up
Crompton?
I would like to have go back to
All right.
Compton, yeah.
and have a new one.
Yeah, I want to see if if we can get a new one erected.
okay.
That would be a wonderful thing, and I don't know what kind of groups we could get to work together to raise the money to do it.
Well, maybe if you see someone with the monuments, maybe they donate it out of the goodness of their heart.
Thank you.
Thanks, Freddie.
Is that good?
And things are quiet in Ward 5.
None. Discussion action, hanging flowers in Arctic, sponsored by Councilman Messier and Vice President D'Amico.
So I'm gonna bring up Barbara Tay back to discuss this. Barbara reached out to, I think, maybe all of us. I definitely, I talked to her. I know Jason talked to her. Her idea is to put hanging flower baskets, I have a picture of them right here, throughout downtown Arctic. And to raise the money, she came up with another idea which actually helps out. A second issue that people have brought to my attention multiple times is the Centennial banners that have been up for a few years and they're kind of old and tattered. So she's reaching out to local businesses currently to sponsor and get new banners put up there, and using that money for the hanging baskets. I'll let Barbara take it from here though and explain further into detail. You put a lot of work into it. I know we put it off a couple times because you've been working hard at putting all the pieces together.
Yeah.
State your name and address, Barbara.
Yes, Barbara Tabak, Gendron Street in West Warwick. Yeah, it was an idea that I came up with once the Holmes building came down, and that was one eyesore now when people come into town that they won't see. And I thought, you know, you go through all these villages, East Greenwich and so forth, and it's very welcoming to see the hanging baskets. So I just thought I'd do a little investigating, and I did spend a few weeks looking up different things about the baskets. I spoke to the people in East Greenwich, the woman who handles the money and all that kind of thing and what it costs. And my own mind thinking that even if I am able to raise the money for all of this, my concern was the labor in Public Works. I mean, they go out every day in these villages in East Greenwich, including holidays, weekends, overtime. It's a lot of money in that respect. So I thought, well, this is not going to be feasible. And then lo and behold, I found a company right outside of Syracuse, New York. Their business has been flower pots and all the things connected with landscaping. And they spent 3.5 years researching and developing a self-watering pot. And I thought, self-watering pot. Got on the phone right away, talked to the man that runs the place. And lo and behold, yes, last year they did a prototype with their pots. They were made and very successful everywhere they were. And so this year is the first year that they're really marketing, retailing everywhere with them. And the idea of it is these pots, which I will give you one of these too so you can look at it. These pots hold 3.5 gallons of water.
So they only need to be, they have to be filled once a week, and there's enough water, they'll continue to water themselves throughout the rest of the week.
And so I met Stan and I and John, made an appointment with Freddie, and we sat down with Freddie and discussed, you know, what kind of time frame would it involve for someone at Public Works. And this company sent me a sheet which broke down labor costs and so forth. And I walked across an article. We have 22 antique poles that go from where the Playhouse is next to Boneheads down to here to this building. So I based everything on 22 pots, watering 22 pots once a week. And we figured it out, and I know from the scale that I was given, it should take just like an hour and 40 minutes to do the 22 pots of watering. So I thought that was feasible, and Freddie said that that was doable. You'd have somebody go out 5 in the morning, water the pots once a week, that's it. And it would be done so that it would carry it through the weekends, through the holidays and all of that sort of thing. So that's kind of the story about the pots. So now we go to the banners, and I thought, well, we need to take the banners down anyway. And this is something also discussed at that meeting with Freddie. I mean, the banners need to come down. It's 5 years, actually, that they've been up. And I mean, a lot of them are shredded and off already anyway. So I talked to a few of the businesses in general. You know, if I were to do a little drive here to replace banners, would you be interested and donate towards these hanging? Everybody wants the pots, that's for sure. And I've had a positive reaction to the banners. Now, I'm talking 22 banners. I'm not talking about what we did the last time. I'm talking about, because Freddie's going to have, we would coordinate with him that when he takes the banners down, you know, we could do the switcheroo and put the pots up.
And you also, and you made a recommendation when we spoke yesterday to stop them from getting tired as quickly. Is
I'll take them down.
And when we're putting up the snowflakes at Christmas time, we take them down for the winter so they don't get as worn and they can last longer too.
Exactly. And the banner is going to represent summer and spring. That's the look of the banner.
What's the cost of them, Barbara?
Well, the total cost this year, I'll tell you one more thing about the pots. The pots are guaranteed for 10 years.
I read that.
So this is the year, the money. This is the money year. Then we have 9 years of nothing but just supplying the flowers. And the Arctic Village Association is, you know, this is through this organization that we're doing this. I represent Arctic Village Association, as you well know. So I'm starting to raise money under the umbrella of the Arctic Village Association. And I've just started, actually, yesterday. And I'm pretty excited about it. And I mean, I've got the pots. The pots have, I talked to Hattoy, and the pots are at Hattoy's. And they're the ones that will fill the pots. I actually went Sunday with Dave Legault, and we put the hardware on the pots, you know, the chains and so forth. Now, these pots weigh like 70 to 80 pounds when they're full of the soil, the flowers, and 3.5 gallons of water. So as a result of the weight, I had to look into getting special brackets that can support that kind of weight, which of course I made. So I'm waiting to get those brackets, and Freddie knows that they'll have to put the brackets up and probably take the old banners down when they do that, make it one deal, you know. He'll work it out with his crew, but he said that should not be a problem. Well, we need to get them down anyway. It's not a very good statement.
This is really a wonderful initiative. I fully support this because two things are happening. We're changing out the banners, and they'll change out twice a year. And then this will pay for the pots, the flowers, and this is part of the beautification of Arctic. I mean, if we want development, if we want people to come here and they want to drive our streets, and you know, eventually developers, this is what you have to do. This is the first step, right? We have to put some color
I
to the
felt
streets.
I
We have
felt
to
it
bring
was
some
just
life
another
to the
piece of the
streets.
puzzle. We're trying to make it look
The
better.
Arctic Village Association's paying.
Correct.
I'm raising the money through the Arctic Village Association.
The only thing we would be paying for is the weekly of watering, which you said is about an hour and 40 minutes. We're not.
That comes out of Freddie's budget.
The Arctic Village Association has, I mean, Barbara has done incredible work. I know you've been working on this for a couple of months at least. She's worked very hard on this. It's not going to cost us anything except for that. And for some people, it may be a small thing, but I think it's great. I think you need to start somewhere. If you want to make Arctic beautiful, you need to do something like this. I think it's a great initiative. You put so much work into this, and I know I appreciate it. I'm sure the rest of the council feels the same way.
And one of the great things about this, which you know cuts the time that it will take DPW to do the watering, is the tank will be supplied, and it's a system where if you look at the flower pot, they don't have to get on a ladder to do this. It's like a sort of like a hose system, and they just hold it up to the spout on the pot, and you fill it that way. So it's fairly easy. I mean, it is a little bit time consuming. I want to thank Freddie publicly for taking the time to meet with us and
How much do
making
they
this
go
happen.
for, though? Curious.
They're expensive. It's expensive. The total cost is about $7,500 a little bit less than 500. $7,000 for this whole operation. Because what
But
happened.
you recoup some of that from the sale of the banners, correct?
Some of it, yeah. Some of it from the banners.
So if anybody's interested, I know we
I-
spoke
I've
yesterday.
got-
You
yeah,
have the
I've got
forms,
the-
right?
I've got the forms, yeah.
If it's election season, anybody wants to get, I told Barbara, if it's a local business, if you, I know last time there was a
He
few,
would set it up this way with the business or someone's name, whatever they
and
want.
Senator, I mean, there's a Senator Satchel one up there, correct, from the last one, Barbara?
Pardon?
Senator Satchel has one, there's a few up there from politicians, I know that. I told you, I'm gonna give you this today, I'm gonna get one, I'm gonna buy one of the banners and put in honor of my dad's name to put up there. So if there's a business that's watching this, or an individual, you wanna do something like that, it doesn't have to be a business, if you wanna put somebody's name up there as a memorial, it's well worth it, it's well worth the $250, and it's gonna be, going to help beautify Arctic, so I think it's awesome.
The first two businesses that I spoke to, I went to Brookside, and talked to Jeff yesterday, because poor Jeff knows I know he's there on Monday. He sees me walk in, he's like, oh, what's you up to? He right away gave me a check for the banner, so that was $250. And then the second one I talked to was Paul Petrosi, and he said, I'm in. And I did talk to Tom Lamb a while back, because I have used some of the money that he's donated to us, the AVA, for Christmas lighting. And when there's a little bit extra, that's how I got the snowflakes. And I ran it by him, do you mind? Because once that money is given to you, Barbara, I trust you, do what you want with it. And, but I said, well, what do you think about this if I do some pots? Well, he was all excited. Oh, I will definitely get banners, and but I haven't talked to him since. But now that I'm actually going to be out there asking, begging, I always call it begging, we'll see what I do. And, if I fall short on some of it, I intend to try to go to some of the bigger organizations and see if, they'll be kind to help here in West Warwick. So that's about it. If there's any other questions.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's
You're very
it's
welcome.
an excellent idea, Barbara.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to the whole, to the whole AVA, thank you very much.
Playground on Factory Street, sponsored by Councilman Messier, resolution approving bid award for purchase and installation of playground equipment for the new Factory Street playground located at the West Warwick Civic Center.
I'd like to move the name of ProBuilt Designs, award the bid. Mark Carullo, I'm sorry, somebody's got to second that.
I'll second.
Thank you. Mark Carullo went through the bids for the playground. This wasn't the lowest bid, and there was some question of why, and it was because Martorano Recreation bid did not include a cost for perimeter fencing, which was part of the requirements for the bid specifications. So Mark recommends ProBuilt Designs. I know Jay had looked into this a lot as well, so I don't know if you want to add anything to this. Something that I think we need to get going on soon, so if anybody else has anything to add to it, or any questions.
Any comments?
I'll bring up that, somebody asked if the playground was handicapped accessible, fully handicapped accessible. In my conversation with Mark Carullo today, he said that it is, when he spoke to the designer of the playground. Two other concerns that were brought up to me by Chris Messier of the Rec Committee was that a neighbor had concerns that that land was deemed as open space. Mark looked into that today, and he didn't find anywhere there was any deed restrictions as far as putting a playground there. And then somebody also questioned that there may potentially be a time capsule from a previous high school class there, which is not there, correct? Yeah, it's not. It's in the back. There's two in the back. Yeah, sure. Come up, Lori. Those that aren't, it's the Factory Street Playground. It's right where the Orchid is, right in the parking lot of the Civic Center. And as far as the time capsule, When I talked to Superintendent Tara Savage here tonight, she said they were in the back somewhere.
Yeah.
So the time capsule is, when you come out of the field house, there's a big rock. It's in that second row, and it actually has a plaque on it that says
I
that
figured
it
it's-
is to be opened up in 2076.
Yeah.
I was told at one point what it's actually in there by the first director of the Civic Center. He came back and he did see me. If
Yeah,
it is
like-
true, then in 2076, the Civic Center will be very well off.
Is there bricks of gold in there? Let's
I have
dig
no
this up.
idea. I have no idea. But whatever's in there will be very beneficial to the Civic Center at that point. So.
You're gonna have everybody go digging it up now.
It's gonna be like looking for glass orbs on Block
All right,
Island,
so-
right,
so
Jacoby?
We're gonna put this on the next agenda?
Yeah, I would put it, because
Yeah.
it's not on the agenda tonight to approve the bid.
Right.
So I would have it on the agenda the next time to approve this bid, because you've got it as discussion action, it's gonna move forward, but it should be properly there as a bid.
Mary Ann, can you put that on the next agenda?
Already did.
Thank you.
All right, perfect.
Make sure the Marcarulo's memo is still attached.
All right, awesome.
Okay.
It's gonna be exciting.
$100 donation to the Brian James St. Germain Fund, sponsored by Council President Goslin.
Okay, so obviously President Gosselin is not here. This is a donation that we have made in the past. So I just want to get consensus that we're all willing to make that donation again.
We do it every year.
Okay.
Make a motion on that?
Do we need to make a motion?
No,
Is there a motion?
just-
No,
No.
no, it's just fine.
Just
Okay.
send it to
Upcoming appointments, Sewer Use Tax Board of Review, Pension Board, West Warwick Public Library Trustees, Board of Tenant Affairs, Pawtuxet River Authority, Planning Board, Zoning Board of Review. Public comment. Comments will only be addressed to the town council. We'll take them under advisement. When addressing the town council, please state your name and address. Please conduct yourself in an orderly and respectful fashion. The comments of citizens accessing this portion of our meeting are neither adopted nor endorsed by this body, but heard as requested.
Any public comment?
General public or?
Yes, but one second.
Good evening. My name is Rick Banks, 8 Campbell Street, West Warwick. Gonna lose the microphone here. I think I broke it.
No, that's always falls off.
There we go. I just won't touch it again. So I just came up to, I submitted a letter to each of the council members in regards to the open zoning board position. I'm currently serving as an alternate member, and I wanted to put my name in for consideration to be a full-time member of that board. Yeah, I've served on there for a little under a year now. Actually, I think it was Councilman D'Amico when you took over. There was a spot that opened, so I came into that spot. So I wanted to put that out to you and answer any questions that you might have for me.
Questions from the council? Mr. Banks?
Okay. Just please take into consideration, I will always take a fair and accurate measure of all matters that come before me, taking into consideration the town and the resident themselves. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Richard.
Thanks, Rick.
Any other public comment? Oops, people are fighting for the mic here. Go ahead.
Okay, I want to make sure it's general public comment. Angelo, I'd like to thank you for the way you handled the incident tonight as a public official with your letter. I'd like to thank the Department of Public Works. We had a no parking sign taken down on Rita Street over the winter, and it was thrown on a man's lawn. And the police several times picked it up because he put it in the gutter and threw it back on the man's lawn. And then when he cut his lawn, he'd throw it back out there. So I brought it down to the Department of Public Works, and in a couple of days, it's back up. So I thank them for that. One thing with the sidewalks, and we're crossing here, a number of towns have stands on either side of the crosswalks with orange flags. Where we don't have lights for pedestrian crossways here, you can sit there for quite a while before somebody will stop.
We almost got hit the other night.
So if you might think about putting some stands with orange flags, and when you're on one side, you grab one, you wave it so you can get the driver's attention. It'd be great.
Another, in the past, they've done the chicken, right? Chief, when you had the chicken out there, they had like someone in a chicken suit to try to like, was a police officer in a chicken suit to bring attention to it. I know they've been probably be proactive with stopping people from not letting people. You don't know the chicken suit?
Police in a chicken suit?
Well, maybe it was an officer. I don't know who was under the chicken suit.
Well, I think we're gonna skip the chicken soup, but,
You never seen that video? You need to
It's a
go.
very
I'll send it to you.
difficult crosswalk. People
Yeah.
fly by. Many times, we've tried to cross as council members, and I've said it to the chief a few times, this would be a great place to put an officer. You'd be stopping like every other car.
Yeah, so Tom
So we do need to
Tom
come up
Oates
with
almost
some
got hit.
sort of, some sort of signage or something. We'll have to discuss that. We will take that under
Yeah,
consideration.
and, also the one over at the end of Centerville Bank.
That is also very difficult. I agree.
Another item that I'd like to bring to your attention is it's summertime now, and we have bicycles with gas-powered engines riding on the sidewalk, riding on the wrong side of the road. And I checked with the DMV, Brad, whatever his name is over there at the registry, and they are classified as a moped if they have a gas motor of 49 cc's or less. There are 3 separate statutes. They are required to be registered, insured, not be able to go over 30 miles an hour, and the driver must be licensed. There is one bike, the guy has like a 90 cc motor.
I see him on the bike path quite often.
Right, and I walk her on the bike path, and they come
zipping down. I've
Zip
said
it down.
the same thing when I see that.
And I'm not talking about the electric ones, but the gas ones. They are classified as a moped, 49 cc's and under. They must be registered, they must be insured, and the operator must have a valid license. When they go over 49 cc's, they're a motorcycle. They have to be not only registered and insured, but they have to have a motorcycle license to drive it. I'd like to see the police department address this.
Chief, is this something, could you come forward, please?
We've stopped them in the past and told them and written.
Okay. Is this an ongoing problem?
Just telling them that's an illegal vehicle. It's unregistered, uninsured, and we've got one guy that rides around. He's got his beer in his backpack. He's got a beverage holder on his handlebar, and he's got a little cover on it, and he's drinking his beer. I was on the sidewalk. He almost hit me, and all you could smell was alcohol.
All right, thank you. What else would you like to add?
I have an issue with the building inspector, and he keeps telling me, I go to the zoning regulations, and it says a dwelling unit is a structure or portion thereof providing complete independent living facilities for one or more persons, including permanent provisions for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation, and containing separate means of ingress and egress. He keeps telling me, no, you don't have a separate dwelling unit there. Even though the other building inspector kept referring to it, you gotta put a fire barrier, you gotta put separate heating controls.
Last meeting, Mike,
Yeah.
didn't we say we were gonna straighten
I
those out?
tried to talk, and also the building inspector keeps saying, oh no, you had extended living area there, and you just redid the extended living area. I have searched the town codes, town zoning, the national BOCA, IBC zoning. They say extend living area into a area previously not a living area. This was there when I arrived, not used maybe for a long time, but according to neighbors, the people that lived there before me, they had people living downstairs. You look at the town assessor's records, and it says
full and a half bath. Then you go back, it says 2 baths. Then another one says 1.5 baths. So over the years, whoever's been doing the assessing doesn't fully look at it. And I spent thousands of dollars to redo an area in my home, in the house, because the building inspector said, nope, you can't use a suspended ceiling. You got to put fire code on that to separate it. You can't use 1/2-inch sheetrock on these walls. You have to put 5/8 fire code on it as a fire barrier. You have to put a separate sub-panel in the unit, so if someone trips a breaker, they don't have to go into the main house to reset the breaker. Now I'm told you have extended living area. That's what you had before, and you just redid it. I can't find it anywhere. So I said, okay, as a 3-bedroom house, because you want to call it a 3-bedroom house, I'll take everything out of the basement. I'm not giving you a permit for that. You took the money, I've sent you.
Can I just interrupt for 2 seconds? Before you start tearing your house apart, I did speak to President Goslin, and he did receive an email from you. He said he did respond to that email, and he's asking you for a week. He is away, he's in Cleveland right now, but when he returns, he's going to reach out to you, and he wants to work with you in zoning. I think Ernie wants to elaborate on that a bit.
Well, yeah, the issue is that, again, Mr. Gadro feels that he has in his basement an in-law apartment.
It's either an in-law apartment or it's a 5-bedroom house. But I'm being told, and I'm being taxed by your tax assessor as a 2-family.
The president is aware of this, and he just asked for a little bit more patience. He should be back in the next couple of days, and I know he said that he will reach out to you and try to remedy this.
You know, I wouldn't have spent the money if I got all the permits. I did everything that was told to me because it's a separate. When When you you put that 5/8 firewall, you had to get a permit for that. I got permits for everything. I brought in a set of plans.
I want to see what Dave has to say with the rest, because if it wasn't a 2 separate apartment, he wouldn't have had to put that 5/8 firewall. So there's a lot
My
of
initial plans
inconsistencies.
that I sat down and talked with Carrie about, I had 1/2 inch, and I was just gonna take down a section of the suspended ceiling, put the wall up, and then put the section of suspended ceiling back up.
Your tax
where
rate,
And he said, no, you can't do that, I want 5/8 fire code.
your tax rate would be the same though as owner occupied anyway, regardless, correct?
It's owner occupied.
That's what I mean, so the tax rate would be the same
The
regardless.
tax rate is, but it's valued for more because they're calling it a 2-family. I want to get out of Dodge. I'm tired of this town. I moved here because I had fond memories when I was younger, coming up with my mother and family to visit my cousin Myron Gadori and some other family relatives. Now I wish I'd never moved here. I've also sent you emails with 2 statements because after the last time I came here and complained about being flipped off by officers, being followed, it happened again, and this time the people with me weren't from this town. I have notarized statements from them. Angelo, did you show them to the others?
Did you all get a copy of
believe we
it?
They all got
an
emails.
email.
I believe we got
I
an
presented them publicly here so that I'm tired of it. My wife is tired of it. My wife doesn't like cops coming to the house in the middle of the night
I got the
and
email
then
for that.
telling us we can't have a copy of the report as to why they came to the house because it would violate somebody else's privacy.
Mr. Gadro, can we go back to the other issues so that we can just resolve that
Which one?
first? Regarding meeting with David, and I know the manager.
I have an
wanted to-
appointment with him tomorrow. I've already called the
Okay, so
state
you feel-
building
you feel
commissioner.
okay about that? You'll wait?
Okay? Yep. I just want to get out of
That's
Dodge.
resolved before we move on to the next one. Any other comments for us?
No, yeah, I don't have any problem with the people in this town. I get along with most of them, up until the issues with the police. We shopped almost exclusively in town as much as we could. I now won't go to a business in town. We go out of town for everything. Thank you for your time. This is a copy of the section of your zoning ordinance that describes what a separate dwelling unit, what a dwelling unit is.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other public
Any other
comment?
public comment?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Sorry.
Where are you going?
Oh, sorry.
Hold on.
I didn't know you had something to read.
I want to share something.
Sorry.
This is a note that was sent to the town council members. I wanted to share it. It says, "Dear members of the West Warwick Town Council, though this thank you is somewhat belated, it is no less heartfelt. The beautiful flowers sent to the Enoka Locally Funeral Home for our mother, Madeline T. Doyle, was absolutely stunning. We sincerely appreciate it. The family of Madeline T. Doyle, from Susan and Paul St. Ahmed." Any other comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, I thought Bert wanted.
I will second.
Okay.
Oh, my job?
Yeah.
I have a meeting with you at 9:30 tomorrow.
That in correspondence, I guess, right?